Doug here with Hollywood Rodents. I thank you all for tuning in. We are again in the middle of an expansion, so please bear with us. But anyhow, tonight I really want to talk about rats. Since that really is our mainstay and our #1 product that we produce, the ball pythons are fun. The other animals that we produce are all fun and they're very cool, but the rodents are our day-to-day bread and butter. With that though comes some issues. One thing that I guess really the reason for this video is pretty simple. I'm a member of several Facebook groups and there's a lot of miscommunication going on out there. There's a lot of people who think they know what they're doing and they don't. Guys, this stuff isn't hard. People have been breeding rodents in captivity for medical research for years. The biggest reason I'm making this video is simply because there's always the same group of people who have the same problems. Their mamas, their females are eating their babies, or they feel that it's the dad, but very rarely is it ever the dad. They're not getting the productivity out of their animals. There's just a lot of issues that people are doing, and they're doing things really kind of counterintuitive and against these animals' nature. So I'm going to talk a lot about a document that I have here on the desk in front of me, and it's called the Best Management Practices for Feeder Rodent Production and Distribution. It was put together by Scott Harden, who's the PIJAC Science Advisor, and this document was put together by a group of veterinarians who are specialists in rodents, zookeepers, other rodent breeders, people who breed rodents for the medical industry, and herpetoculturists, some of the biggest reptile breeders at the time. This thing was put together in 2013. I will do my very best to have a link to the document in the description or in the comments. It's like 26 pages, but it's worth the read, especially if you are going to breed rodents, or you're thinking about it, or if you're going to a facility where they raise rodents and you kind of are curious about what the regulations are. So anyhow, this is the document. I'll try and get it so that the camera can see it. But this document, the first 2 pages of it talk a lot about the culture of rodent breeding, sort of the purposes, a lot of that good fun stuff. I'm going to skip right to the practices that deal with husbandry, that deal with bedding, that deal with the building that we're in, that deal with nutrition, that deal with disease prevention, that deal with euthanasia. That's really what I'm going to talk about tonight. It is going to be kind of a bit of me reading, but this is important information, guys. I can't stress to you enough that the reason that we follow this document, the reason that we as Hollywood Rodents do the things we do, is because at this point in time the USDA is not involved in what we do. We do not have to have a USDA license for what we do. However, if enough people continue to not follow these practices, they will. And if you breed rodents or small animals for pets, you'll understand that would put a company like us out of business. The permit process isn't hard, but it's $145 per breeding group of animals. Right now we have 55 breeding tubs, I think 55, and we're going to be to 144 by Christmas, or shortly before Christmas. We're going to be to 200 by spring. We're going to be to 400 or 500 or 600 by the end of next summer. If I had to pay $145 per tub just for a permit, guys, we couldn't do this. So please do your homework on the places that you're buying from, because it's those really shitty, shady backyard breeders that aren't doing things right that are making it difficult for all of us. So anyhow, that's enough of me preaching. I'm going to take a second here. I'm going to read this first section. It's called husbandry. Husbandry, what husbandry means is the enclosures that they're kept in, their environment, anything like that. So anyways, the husbandry says rodent enclosures should be designed to prevent escapee by feeder rodents, e.g. closed rack systems, Should allow for normal postural and behavioral movements. Should allow access to food and water and allow easy refilling and cleaning of the devices that contain food and water. Should be ventilated, maintained at appropriate temperature, typically 68 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and should avoid humidity extremes, preferred 30 to 70% relative humidity. Should be free of sharp edges that could cause injury. Should have corrosion-resistant surfaces that can be sanitized with hot water, detergents, and disinfectants. And should have appropriate bedding for nesting and to absorb urine and feces. Okay, so rats, they need a 7-inch deep tub minimum. They like to stand up on their hind legs. I show clips of our rodents all the time in our videos. They're fun animals, they're very cool, but they need to be able to move properly. If the caging isn't deep enough, then when they try to eat, they're having to like twist their necks and tort themselves. It makes it difficult. We do have some shorter racks that we use, that we take our weaned rats when we wean them from mom. When mom has weaned them and they're in that 46 to 51, 52 grams, and they're not quite tall enough to reach the top, to reach the food layer on the tubs that we have on our big rack system. We put them in the shorter ones so that they can reach that food and they can eat. They can learn then how to eat through the cage, and I don't mean eat through the cage, I mean pull their food through the hardware cloth, use the water system, right? That helps them so that they can grow. It helps us avoid any of them getting, because when we pull them at 46, 47, 48 grams, if we put them in a tub with a big one and they can't eat or they're having to compete with the other rats to eat, I've seen some of them before, and we used to do that. In full disclosure, we used to do that. And then we had some that lost a whole bunch of weight in a few days because they couldn't get food and water, so we made a change, and now we're combating that problem. Really, the whole thing that sort of centers around sanitation and the ability to clean, having our racks set up the way they are really does help a lot with that. Also, corrosion-resistant surfaces. We use plastic tubs. They come clean. We rinse them every single time we clean. Bleach water. 10% bleach. Cleaning day. It smells like bleach in here, but guess what? All our tubs are clean. We don't have sick animals. You have to do these things. Yes, it takes time. Yeah, it's inconvenient, but what's even more inconvenient is your animals dying. The next thing I'm going to talk about is bedding, and then I'm probably going to end this video. I'm only going to cover these first two sections because I actually want to take the camera and put it in a rack, and I'm kind of going to talk about how we do things and how our racks are set up. So anyway, so the bedding, it should be adequate absorbent capacity, meaning that there needs to be enough bedding in the tub to absorb urine and help to displace feces, that by the time you clean it isn't absolutely disgusting. It says wood chips, pine or aspen are recommended. That's the only two that are recommended, is pine and aspen. That's it. Scented or aromatic bedding like cedar should be avoided because aromatic compounds may cause respiratory problems or liver abnormalities. Cedar would smell a ton better. If you've ever been in here the day before we clean when it's hot in the summertime, it doesn't smell good. We do our very best. We have incredible ventilation. We have a giant fan on the other side of the wall behind me. We have ventilation. Everything's pulled through the air conditioner that's up behind me to my right. We have fans circulating. We do our very best to get rid of air and to have adequate air movement. The health of our animals is directly reflected by our efforts to do that. It must be disposed of properly. Every week when we clean, we use the heavy-duty plastic bags. We take the stuff to the dump. We tried offering it for compost, and actually this document does say that there's several of the big breeders who breed for medical reasons that they compost their bedding, but I've talked to several gardeners, and the amount of ammonia in the urine is just too much. It would just be it just wouldn't work. It would raise the acidity levels of the soil too much for it to be effective. So anyhow guys, that's all I'm going to cover tonight. Next I'm going to show you our racks. I'm going to take you inside one of our racks. I'm going to show you our big rack tubs, our big tub rack, I'm going to explain how the water system works. I'm going to, and then I'm going to show you the smaller tubs where we put them in, just to kind of, show you what we're doing with it, guys. So anyhow, let's get to the rack tour.